What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back at again with another video. So I want to kind of talk to y'all about the possibility that Seth Rollins may not be the individual that joins the OG bloodline like a lot of us think is going to happen. Now, they have set it up and teased it in a sense that he may be the one to join the OG bloodline to help them against the new bloodline, since Bronson Reed has aligned himself with the new bloodline. And if you saw what happened on Monday Night Raw, the new bloodline interfered in the match between Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, which ultimately cost Seth Rollins the match and gave Bronson Reed the win. So you would think the way they're setting it up, the way Bronson Reed has now joined the new bloodline and the new bloodline has cost Seth Rollins the match, you would think maybe it's a good chance that he would join the OG bloodline, considering how much he's been very adamant on saying, no, I'm not joining Roman Reigns. Y'all know our history. We don't like each other. I'm not going to help him, get back to the top. No, I'm not joining Roman Reigns. He's been very adamant about that for the past few weeks. But will this situation with Bronson Reed and the new bloodlines, cause him to say, you know what? Fuck it. I got to do what I got to do to take down Bronson Reed. Is that a good enough reason for Seth to join? For some people, they may think that's good enough reason. Other people have said they don't think it's still a good enough reason for Seth to join. I think a lot of us would prefer it to still just be a 4v4. That's just my honest opinion. But I am okay with Bronson Reed being added because he gets that main event rub, and I've already discussed that in previous videos. But when you really think about it, Seth being there, even though Bronson Reed had the help of the bloodline and he may want to get his revenge, I still just don't see it being a strong enough reason for him to even want to stand next to Roman, considering we just saw how Seth essentially gave up his world title. He gave up his world title to help Cody, to beat Cody Rhodes' Shield against the bloodline, against the final boss. He sacrificed himself, his title, and his body. He was the MVP for WrestleMania. He did all that just to see Roman fall, only at the end of the year to help him out. I know things happen and time has changed, but their story has been so documented and so well written that it just doesn't make sense. Even through him getting screwed over by the new bloodline, it's kind of a stretch for him to even want to stand next to Roman, let alone help him. So the one thing I could possibly see, if they don't go that route, if this is all kind of just a swerve, the only other person I could possibly see being, I guess, involved in this match is CM Punk. Now, how would you get CM Punk involved in this match? It's very simple. Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman would be the bridge to CM Punk joining up. CM Punk would only join up because of Paul Heyman. And as y'all know, with the last episode of SmackDown, Paul Heyman is, kind of off the radar right now. His phone number doesn't work for Roman Reigns anymore. So we're still trying to figure out what's going on with that. But say Paul Heyman does come back, and say Paul Heyman, being the wise man, he has the perfect person to assist in this year's War Games. And it's not Seth Rollins. It's not him. It's CM Punk. Here comes CM Punk. And here's the thing about this. If you are to go this route, you possibly could. You possibly could, because Paul Heyman is the bridge between everything here. Paul Heyman would be essentially the glue to this War Games team because of the fact that he's the wise man and he's the best person to facilitate everyone getting on the same page. And if you guys remember, when CM Punk came to SmackDown a few months back, he came to SmackDown, he was approached by, Paul Heyman, and he was also approached by Solo in the new Bloodline. And if you guys remember how Paul Heyman was basically trying to plead with him to try to get him out of there so he doesn't get hurt. And he had to tell Paul, like, he was kind of concerned for him. One, he was like, Paul, you don't look good, because this was when Paul Heyman wasn't shaving. His eyes were bloodshot red because he just wasn't liking what the new Bloodline was doing. And Paul was essentially trying to save him. He's like, look, Paul, you don't look good. I respect you. I love you, man. And, he was trying to, get him to understand, like, I'm not no pushover. You know me. And Solo wanted him basically to acknowledge him. And if you guys remember, CM Punk basically said, look, bro, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. You're not the tribal chief. You're a knockoff version of the tribal chief. You wish you were the tribal chief. You're not him. So he's already made it clear he doesn't view Solo anywhere near Roman's status. So he's already chosen the side. He doesn't think he's the tribal chief whatsoever. So it's just one of those very interesting things that if you really go back to it, it would make sense if he was to align himself with Roman, because he doesn't even acknowledge Solo as the tribal chief already. He doesn't. He's already made that very clear. And once again, CM Punk is aligned with Paul Heyman. And if you go back even further, if you guys remember, there was a situation where Paul Heyman made it very clear that he told Roman CM Punk is off limits. He told Roman to not mess with CM Punk. CM Punk is off limits. There's to be no beef with CM Punk. That's the only thing that Paul Heyman requested of Roman, and Roman, he was okay with it. He was like, all right, he obliged Paul Heyman's deal to not mess with CM Punk, because he talked about it with Solo. He said, look, since Solo came out there to really confront CM Punk, he told Solo, like, hey, Roman left CM Punk alone. I already told him to leave CM Punk alone. What are you doing? See, this is another callback that they could possibly use. The fact that, once again, the reason why Roman's never had any beef, or any issues with CM Punk once he returned, because guess what? Paul Heyman already said, just leave him alone, and Roman obliged Paul Heyman's wishes. He granted his wishes. He left CM Punk alone. So that can also be an interesting dynamic there, where CM Punk and Roman interact with each other. Once again, they haven't interacted with each other in a very long time on camera. So they interact with each other, and you can have Paul Heyman in between them. And that is a future match. That is a future money-making match right there. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and they just have that stare off, that tension. It's like they don't hate each other, but there's obviously that tension there. You can build up potential rivalry type situation. They can have them maybe some back and forths. That could be very interesting. And Paul Heyman obviously being the one between them. Once again, yes, you could possibly have that dynamic with Seth, but I don't think Seth really needs to be added here. That may be the direction they go. I think it would be a better story if you had CM Punk doing Paul Heyman a favor. And he tells Roman, look, Roman, I don't really have no beef with you. I don't really, I have no issues with you. I'm glad to see you doing the things you're doing for the industry. I'm only doing this because Paul Heyman asked me to. He was a Paul, Paul Heyman was a CM Punk guy before he became the Wise Man. Don't forget that. Like you can have those little jabs. And when CM Punk came back, he made that very clear. Paul Heyman was a CM Punk guy before he became a Wise Man. So I think if you are going to do something, if they're going to pull a swerve here, I am okay with CM Punk being the one added. Not because he wants to help out the Bloodline, because he just wants to do something nice for the OG Bloodline. It's only because Paul Heyman would be the one to ask him to do this favor. And it makes sense because they did attack Paul Heyman. They put Paul Heyman through a table and packed him up, and he was gone for months. So if anything, Paul Heyman would be doing a friend a solid, like, hey, to be honest with you, I want to kick their asses because they attacked my friend here. That's about it. Everything else, I don't really give a damn about. So I think that would be pretty cool. And Here's another situation. You can spin this even more with guess. Say it's a situation where Seth Rollins maybe comes to the terms with it, and maybe he wants to assist or potentially assist, and CM Punk is the one that ends up assisting. What if there's a situation where maybe Seth finally comes around to the idea of helping and CM Punk ends up being the one to take that spot, and maybe Seth feels some type of way? You can definitely do that if that's a story route that you want to take, because we know CM Punk and Seth, that's going to be happening as well. But overall, I think personally, the story would be better if CM Punk was potentially involved in this Survivor Series match. Granted, his last match was a Hell in a Cell, so him being involved in the War Games, that's a cell-like structure. That would be kind of an interesting thing. But the difference between this is there's a lot of star power in this match, and he doesn't have to pretty much do as much as he would have to in a one-on-one cell structure type match. He can kind of rest up. He doesn't have to do too much because there's literally star power throughout the entire match. He doesn't have to do too much, and all the attention's not going to be on him as well. So it's more of an easier match to do than a Hell in a Cell when it's just two people. They got to carry that and deal with all the spots and stuff like that. So I want to get y'all opinion. How do y'all feel about this? Are you guys in favor of Seth Rollins joining the OG Bloodline, or are you guys in favor of CM Punk joining the OG Bloodline? Let me know down below. Who would y'all prefer? Who do y'all think is going to be the ones, the individual to help the OG Bloodline at War Games? But I appreciate all love, support. Road to 150K. Appreciate y'all kicking with me. See you on the next one. Peace.